Hey everyone! In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create a Discord music bot. Some of the features of the bot will be playing songs, skipping songs, and then also queuing songs. On top of all of this, I'm going to teach you how to deploy it to Heroku so that way you don't have to run it on your local computer all the time. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is navigate over to the Discord developer portal. And in here, this is where we can create our application for adding our bot. So let's go up here, select new application, and then we're just going to call this Discord Music Bot. You can call it whatever you want, that's just what I'm making it. Let's go ahead and create that. Now in here, you can see that it has our little application, but what we want to do is add a bot. So let's go to bot, add bot. And basically this just says that if we add a bot to the app, we can't undo it, but we obviously want to do that. So let's go ahead and hit yes. So the real reason that we came to this page is to grab this token. So what this token does is allows us to write code for our bot, and then we can add functionality with whatever we want. And this is how we know that the bot is ours. So let's go ahead and copy this. And the other thing about this code, the other thing about this token is that you shouldn't show this to anyone because it allows whoever has this token, they can write code to your bot. So obviously, if you're screen sharing like I am right now, or maybe you copy and pasted it somewhere by accident, all you have to do is hit regenerate, and then it's going to give you a new token. So that way, if something like that ever does happen, you can come out here, hit regenerate, and then no one has access to your bot except for whoever has your token, which should just be you. So let's go ahead and copy that. Okay, and then now that we have our token, let's go ahead and navigate over to our project. So I've created a folder already inside of Visual Studio. Okay, so now I'm just in my empty folder. So what I want to do is just go ahead and add a file, and then we're just going to call this .env. And what this is just an environment. This is commonly used for developers if they have like a test environment, maybe a production environment, and then a local environment. Basically, it's just different keys that you might use. So you might have a QA API, and then you also might have a local API that might be on, localhost 4000 is a common one. But then you might have your QA API hosted in like the cloud and with like AWS or, whatever. And so then you have to go actually hit that API. So what this allows developers to do is switch between environments. However, it also allows you to hide secrets. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add in bot token. And what this does is it just has an environment variable for our bot. So what we already talked about is how we don't want this bot token to be exposed to anyone else. So since we're going to be deploying this, what we want to do is go ahead and add a getIgnore. Inside of this getIgnore, there are two things that we want to ignore. First is going to be the .env, and the next is going to be our node modules, because obviously we don't want to push all of those up. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to save. So now that we have this, we can push our changes from like our local computer all the way up to GitHub, and then our bot token is not going to be included in that because we're ignoring it here, which is perfect so that we can keep our bot secret to ourselves. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and add our initial bot code. But before doing that, let's go ahead and add all of the packages that we're going to need. Normally, you would add the packages as you go. However, for this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and add them all at once. That way, we can just go through the list and then I can talk about them later. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and initialize our project. What we're going to do is type in npm init and then -y. And so what this does is it creates a new Node.js application for us. So now if we hit ls, we can see that we have a package JSON now. Perfect. So navigating back to here, we can see that we have a main, which is it's going to look for index.js, and then we have tests, a test script if we wanted to run it. So now that we have our package.json, let's go ahead and add all of our packages. The first one is going to be called nodemon. Nodemon is used for basically hot reloading server code, so it's super helpful in our case. The next one we're going to have to do is called Discord discord.js/opus. And what this does is basically it handles voice connections. Next, we're going to go ahead and add ffmpg, I think is what it's called. And what this allows us to do is handle playing videos. Next, we're going to be adding another one called Next, because we're using the .env file, let's go ahead and add a package for handling that. One of the other dependencies that we're going to need is called ytdl core, and this is also for video playing over a voice connection. And then lastly, as I talked about, we're going to be using the discord.js library. So let's go ahead and add that. And of course, with all these different packages, you could easily use npm. I just use yarn personally. So now that we have our token, now that we've initialized our project, add all the packages that we need, let's go ahead and navigate over to discord.js. So here at discord.js, talks about the library, and then even gives you a command for how to install it. We already did that. So as you can see here, there's an example. Let's go ahead and copy that example. So we need to go ahead and add our initial file. What I'm going to call mine is bot.js. And then all we have to do is go ahead and paste that code. So as you can see here, it's looking for that token. So what we need to do is grab the token from our env file. So now that we've added the .env, we're ready to go ahead and use that from here. So what this allows us to do is check the process that Node.js is running on. So we can say process.env.bot_token. So it's going to log in using the token that we declared here. So let's go ahead and save that. In order to start our project, we first need to add a start script. So what I like to do is go in here, type in start, and then we're going to call nodemon on our file, and our main file is actually bot.js. So now we have all the stuff that we need in order to run it. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see here, it logged in as Discord Music Bot 1699. Awesome. So if we go back, we can see here that if I type in ping, it should reply pong. So as you can see here, I have this little Discord server, and what this is going to be used for is testing our bot. So if I type in here and I say ping, obviously nothing's going to happen yet. Now you may be wondering why that is. And that's because we haven't authenticated the Discord bot with our server yet. So we need to go back to the Discord developer portal. So in here, there's a little section called OAuth2. Let's navigate to that. And then as you can see here, we need to include the permissions for a bot. So let's copy that. And then we're going to paste it. And what this is going to do is ask us where we would like our bot to be added. So we're going to select the server, and ours is called Discord Music Bot Testing. So let's go ahead and authorize that. And then we have to verify that we're not a robot. So now that we have that, we have our code running, as you can see here. So we still have our code running here. Now, if you navigate back to our little test server, you can see the Discord music bot with the bot tag has been logged in. So if I type in ping, it replies Pong, which is exactly what we want. So now we have a bot added to our server, working and running already. That's awesome. So now that we have all this code, the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and rename this variable. I always type this in wrong and I always spell out message, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So let's go ahead and save, almost. Let's go ahead and save this. And if you look at our terminal, nodemon says restarting due to changes, starting node bot.js, and then it logs in again. And that's that hot reloading that I was talking about. So let's go ahead and add some different types of commands. Now, the first thing that we want to do is a little bit of validation. So here, I might be talking about ping pong, or I might even say a general word. So sometimes people might just be typing in words that correspond to our commands. So we want to make sure that we're not going to do something like that. So for instance, we might have a play command or a mute command or join command, but if someone were just to type in join and it was just like a typo or something like that, or they were just trying to get someone's attention, then our bot's going to recognize that. So what we need is a little command prefix. So for here, I'm going to make my command prefix be a slash. So that way, when our bot is looking for commands, it knows to look for the slash. The next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and parse the user's message into arguments. So we're going to say const args is equal to message.content. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to slice it, so that way we return a section of the string. So what we want is to just slice off the command prefix. So we're going to say command prefix.length, and then we're going to say trim. So what this is going to do is just remove all the white space. And then we're going to split this into an array. So we're going to split it at each space. So that way, if they type in, for instance, maybe it's play music or stop music, then we'll have each of those words in a section of the array. So now that we have that, we can pull our command out of there. So our command is always going to be the first part of the message. So we're going to say args shift, and then we're going to call to lowercase. That way we just have a little bit of consistency. So no matter what they type, whether it's all caps, no caps, or anything like that, then we still validate their message correctly. So now, instead of saying message.content, I can say if command is equal to ping, make this a string. So if command is equal to ping, then it's going to reply pong. So let's go ahead and save that. So now if we navigate back to our Discord, anyways, so now that I'm here, if I type in ping, it's not going to come up with anything. And that's because we didn't use our command prefix. So if we put in ping, it's going to reply pong, because now it knows that anything that starts with a slash is related to a command. So there are going to be several cases that we need to worry about. One of them is going to be if the message does not come from a member or guild, then we need to go ahead and just return and ignore it. So let's go ahead and come up with that case. If message dot member, or if we don't have a message guild, and as you can see here, I put exclamation point before the member. Just want to make sure that that was caught. I said message.member, and then we're just going to return. So basically, if we don't have a member attached to the message, or the message is not from a guild, then let's go ahead and return. Now, there's going to be one more case that we need to check for, and it's going to be if message.content, then we're going to say starts with and prefix So if it does not start with it, you can see that's by the exclamation point, then we need to return. So what we also need to check for, if the message.author, the bot, then we also need to ignore it. So let's go ahead and return there. Save, then we're good to go. Next, let's go ahead and write a join command. So what this is going to do is join the voice channel that we're in. So let's go down here and let's type in function is user in voice channel. And then we're going to pass in our message. We're going to go with exclamation point, also known as double bang. Type in message.member.voice.channel. So what we're going to do with that is we're just going to return it. So that way we know if the user is in a voice channel or not. So now let's add some validation to say if the user is not in a voice channel, then we need to tell them to join a voice channel before using any more commands or using any commands. So let's say message reply, you need join a voice channel first. Hit save. So now we have a little bit of validation. However, we also need to return so that way it doesn't execute any code below as well. So let's save that. So now if we type in ping, it says that we need to join a voice channel first. So let's go ahead and join a voice channel. Now if we type in ping, it's going to reply pong exactly how we want it. So now we need to figure out how to get the bot into our channel. So let's go ahead and create a command called music. So if the command is music, then we need to make sure that we can get our bot in there. So what we need to do, we need to get them to join the voice channel. So we need to say const connection is equal to await message.member.voice.channel, just as we wrote below. But now we're going to join. So as you can see, we're not quite using this yet, and we're not awaiting this function. And that's because we're not using an async here. So we need to declare async, so that way our code can run asynchronously, and the function that we're writing in here knows that we're going to have to wait for certain functionality because it's asynchronous code. So what we want to do is just join the channel. So let's hit save. Now, because we already have the other validation working, I'm just going to go ahead and type in music. So as you can see, our bot immediately joined our voice channel, and then I guess it just says it's talking even though it's not. So let's go ahead and disconnect our bot, and then let's navigate back to our code. Now we have a way to get our code into the voice channel so that we're going to stream music. So let's think about how we want our users to use our bot. So it might be kind of odd to just say play because you don't necessarily know what that's for. So let's create a command, but then also subcommands. So let's call this music, and then we're going to say play. So it's going to look like that. And then we'll probably have the link like this. That way we know that we're going to use music, we're going to hit play, and then we're going to do link. So that way we can do music stop, music pause, etc. So as above, we had our arguments. So what we need to do is go ahead and grab those arguments now. So we're going to say const music verb, and then we're going to say music link. Now, of course, we're going to say that this is equal to the args. So now we're going to have to stream over a connection. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we have a valid connection. So let's run a little validation on that. Maybe. So if we don't have a connection, then we're just going to return. Otherwise, we can continue on. So what we're going to do is switch on the music verb. So this could be a number of things. One of them might be play. And then one of them also might be print, because in our case, we're going to say case print. So that way they have access to the queue and they can see what's going to be played next. So let's just type message.reply. This will be the play command. Let's copy this, move it down here, formatted that way. Okay, and then we're going to say this is going to be the print command. So that way we know that our testing is working. And then we need, of course, our default case. So our default case is going to say that we don't recognize that command. That makes sense for how a user would use this bot. So we're just going to say command not found. So let's go ahead and save that after we do return. Now that we have that, we can navigate back to Discord, and then we can say music play. However, it says we need to join a voice channel first, so our validation is still working correctly. So let's say music play. And it says it joins the voice channel, and then it says, replies to us, says this will be the play command, which is exactly what we want. So of course, let's disconnect our bot again. Let's go back. And now we need to figure out how to play music to them. What we need to do is probably create a new class called music player. And in this is going to have all our helper functions. Let's go ahead and create a new file, and we're going to call this music helper.js. In here, we're also going to require the discord.js library. So let's go ahead and do that by just copying it from this file. Then we're also going to need ytdl. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So now that we have both of those, let's go ahead and create a class, and we're going to call it music helper. And then inside of our class, we're going to create a constructor. And what we're going to do is probably create a music queue. So we're going to say this.queue is equal to nothing at the moment. Then we're also going to create a status. So what the status is going to do is just tell us the status of the music player. So we're going to say stopped. So now let's think of some common methods that we might use for the music helper. So let's type in, one might be play song. Another might be to check the status of the music queue. So we'll call that check queue. Another one could be printing the queue. And then lastly, something that we might want to do is add a song to a queue. With our first one, let's go ahead and start with the first functionality. And all we're going to do is just play the song to Discord. What this is going to do is called play song, and it's going to take in a connection, and it's also going to take in a music link because we need to know where to play our music from. The first thing that we should do is set this.status equal to playing. And then we're going to say connection .play. Because this is a Discord connection, we're allowed to do that. And then we're going to say ytdl. Then we're going to pass in our music link. And then, as you can see, there are some options. So for our options, what we want to do is create a filter, and we want to say audio only. Because obviously we don't want video streaming to our Discord. Makes no sense for just a voice connection. So let's go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to grab the link from one of my own videos. So as you can see, I have the link to one of my videos here. That is a very attractive face. That is, I don't know what that half smile there. Anyways, let's go back. And then what I'm going to do is type in music, play, and then I'm going to pass in my music link. However, this isn't going to work because inside of our bot.js, we're not even passing it in. So what we need to do is put our player on this client. So we're going to say client.player is equal to new music helper. Now, as you can tell, that's going to error out because we haven't imported the music helper yet. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now we have our music helper.js. We have the music helper. And so if we click on this, it's going to take us there. So, but what we need to do is say module.exports is equal to the music helper. So that way we're exporting it from this file to wherever it needs to go. In this case, which is the bot.js file. Let's save that. And then we need to use our music player now. So what we're going to do is say client.player dot play song. And what this is going to do is it shows us it's going to pass into the connection, and then we're going to pass in our music link. Let's go ahead and save that. And now if I were to type in music play with my link and I hit enter, let's turn this off. So yeah, now you may be wondering why I look so confused right there, and that's because I didn't have my audio from Discord routed into my headphones. It was routed to one of my virtual inputs, and so I was just looking around, listening for the music, but I didn't hear it, but it was playing in the video, and that's because I routed it to my stream service rather than my headphones, so I couldn't hear anything. So now that we know that we can play music, let's go ahead and continue on by adding a song to the queue. So let's go ahead and move this comment up because it's going to be our next one used. And then what we're going to do here is say add song to queue. Very self-explanatory. And then we're going to say this.queue push. And what we're going to do is push on the song link. Let's go ahead and do that. That way, if we need to add a song to the queue, then all we have to do is just say add song to queue, and then it's going to push it on the queue. Perfect. Now that we have a way to add a song to the queue, this is going to be the primary way that we add songs now. Because if someone just calls play song over and over, it's not going to keep a list of the songs we want to play. Rather, it would just overwrite the current song. So what we need to do is, by default, we want to add a song to the queue. To do that, let's create a function called queueSong. So here we're going to pass in a connection and a music link, just as we did before. And then we want to call this.addSongToQueue, and then we're going to pass in the music link. That way, as soon as we queue a song, it's immediately added to our queue. So that way, if our queue is empty, we can add the song to the queue immediately, and then we have something to play. Then what we're going to do is we're going to check the music queue. So let's call it this.checkMusicQueue. And as you can see, this is not something that we've even created yet. And what we're going to do is pass in the connection. So let's create a function called, and I keep saying function, but I mean method because we're using a class. Just a little tip there. So this is going to pass in the connection. And what we're going to say here is if this.status is equal to playing, then all we want to do is return. Because what we're doing here is checking if the song can immediately be played. And then if we know that the status is not playing, then what we want to do is say play song. And then what we want to do, pass in that connection. And then what we're going to do, because we already added the song to the queue down here, we just want to unshift that song immediately. So we add it to the queue and then immediately remove it, so that way we have a song to play. So let's go ahead and do that now. This queue shift. So what shift does is, as you can see here, it just removes the first element from the array and returns it. Because on the add song to queue, we're saying this.queue.push. So this takes the element and puts it at the end of the array. So that way we have a queue working. Otherwise, we would be creating a stack and it would just pop it on and then pop that song off. And so if you add a song, or if you add 5 songs, then it's only going to play the most recently one queued, which is exactly what we don't want. We want to create a first in, first out, also known as a FIFO queue. Now we have a way to check the music queue. However, how do we know when our song is done playing? Now if we go here, and there's a function called on. So what we can do is say finish. So when this is done, we want to run a function. Oops. And what we're going to want to do here was this saying one more parenthesis. So what we're going to want to do here is say this dot status is equal to stopped. So now we know that it's stopped. So what we're going to say now is if this dot queue dot length is not equal, is not equal to 0, then we want to pop the next song off the queue. So we're going to call our function again, and this is recursion. And I don't know if you've used this before, but it's super helpful. So let's call connection. And then you may be saying, we don't have the music link, but because we've created a queue, we can just pop the next one off the queue. So we can say this.queue.shift, and that's going to create our next song and pop it off the queue, which is exactly what we need. The next part is, what if the queue length is equal to 0? Then what we want to say is connection dot disconnect. What that does is it just takes that voice connection and then we're going to disconnect from it. Now we have a way to play a song, add a song to the queue, check the music queue, and then queue a song. What we need to do is now modify our bot code, because here we don't want to say play song, otherwise it's just going to stop the current song and then play a new one. So we want to say add song to, or we want to say queue song, because inside of queue song, we go back here, this is going to check, or it's going to add the song to the queue, and then it's going to check if we can play that song immediately. And then, of course, as you already saw, inside add song to queue, or inside check music queue, it's going to say if the status is equal to playing, go ahead and hit return. Otherwise, play the song immediately. So now we have a way to play the song, add a song to the queue, check music queue, and queue the song. So let's change this, and we're going to say queue song, as I already said. So we're going to save that. And now what we can do is add several songs. So rather than me showing you each song, I'm just going to show you how it's going to print the queue. So let's create a method called print queue. Now for this, what we need to do is pass in a message. And then we want to say constant queue message, seems easy enough, is equal to JSON.stringify, and then we're going to stringify our this.queue. So now that we stringified the queue message, we're going to say message.reply queue status, and then we're going to say new line, and then we're going to concatenate the queue message on the end. You can also use template literals here. And if you don't know what that is, feel free to look it up. However, this is just a simple tutorial, so I'm just going to use the plus sign. So now we have a way to print the queue. So let's add all this functionality here. So here we can say client.play or .player.print queue, and then we need to pass in our message. So let's go ahead and save that. So I don't want to have this entire video muted because of DCMA. So what I'm going to do instead is just play some of my own videos again. So I'm going to navigate to my channel, copy this link, and then I'm going to hit music, play, and this is going to play this one. What I'm going to do is just mute this for right now. That way I don't have to listen to it. So what I'm going to do immediately after that is grab another one, and I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to do music, play, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now, as you can see, that this has been added to the queue. Now you have no way of knowing that. So what I'm going to say is music, I believe we said print. So now I'm going to print the queue. So I'm going to type in music print. Now, as you can see here, this is the queue status, and it's the video. Now, if I unmute this. So yeah, I just finished my first year as a software engineer, roughly about 5. That's my old video. As you can tell, I was talking about my first year, which is my first year as a software engineer. And then the next one is going to be my arrow functions tutorial. So we have our queue working exactly as intended. Right when we add a new song, it's going to immediately pop that off the queue, and then it's going to play it. However, it's going to keep track of all our other songs here, as well in the queue status. So the last functionality that we're going to add is the ability to skip a song. So let's go ahead and copy this, and then we're just going to say skip. So if client player skip song, and then all we need to pass in here is just a connection, because here we don't actually care about if they send us a music link or not. We just care about skipping the song. So let's go ahead and save that. Save that. And then we're going to run into some issues with the bot if we were to type anything. So let's go ahead and add the functionality to skip a song. So I'm just going to copy this and say skip song. So what we need to do inside this function is check the queue, and we need to make sure that its length is not equal to 0. But we're going to say is 0, so that way we know that we're supposed to disconnect. So we're going to type in connection disconnect, and then we're going to return. That way it doesn't execute any code below. So what we need to say here now is this.playSong connection, and then we need to say this queue.shift. So what this is going to say is if this.queue.length is equal to 0, then we have no more songs to play, so we need to go ahead and disconnect. However, if that's not the case, then we just say play song, and we're going to pass in our current connection, and then we need to say this.queue.shift. So that way we grab the next song. And then this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, to where if we call this.playSong, it's going to immediately overwrite our currently playing song. So let me show you how that works. So what I'm going to do is grab this command, and then I'm going to hit play. And then I'm going to keep it on mute for now. So this is the arrow functions tutorial video. And then what I'm going to do is grab the other one. So I'm going to paste that here. So now if I were to type music print, then I'm going to see my queue status, and my next song is going to be my first song is going to be my first year as a software engineer. So let's listen to this video real quick. And then we're going to reduce it down to an arrow function. So in this, we have so that definitely sounds like a tutorial. And so now all I have to do is type in music, skip, and then that's going to skip to the next song. And as you can hear, this is me dancing in this video in the intro. So yeah, I just finished my first. Perfect. So now we have a way to skip the music, we have a way to print the queue status, and then we have a way to play music. So now we have a fully functioning, working bot inside of Discord. Now, as you can see, we could add on more functionality as well, such as the ability to pause songs, stop songs, remove songs from the queue, or maybe we could skip 3 songs at a time. However, that's not going to be covered in this tutorial. I just wanted to show y'all how to get something up and running with the bare minimum requirements to make a music Discord bot. Now, what I'm going to teach you how to do is deploy this to Heroku, so that way it's always running. So now, what I'm going to do is initialize a repository. Now that I've initialized my repository, I'm just going to push this up to my repo. So here I'm going to go ahead and add all my files. Now, as we talked about earlier, you can see that I have node modules, and then I also have bot.js, etc. Now, as you recall, inside that .env file, we have our bot token. Now, because I'm ignoring that in Git, we're not going to be able to add it, which is super nice. So I'm going to say git add, and then add everything. Status, git commit, adding bot to GitHub. Now, I can say git push. And then it's going to say I need to set my upstream, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now, if I go out to my GitHub, you can see that everything is out here. And that's perfect because we also didn't include our node modules, and inside our git ignore, we ignore the env file. So the env file isn't out here either. So that way people don't have access to our bot token if we were to make this repository public. So now we want to be able to deploy this to the cloud. So let's go to Heroku. And then if you haven't already, go ahead and create an account. And what we're going to do is create a new app. We're going to call this Discord Music Bot. It is not available. So I'm going to say, oh, but Discord for Will. So Discord Music Bot for Will is available. So I'm going to go ahead and create that app. Now, as you can see, there are several deployment methods. We could also use a pipeline, but what I'm going to do is just connect it to the GitHub. So my repo name is called Discord Music Bot. So if I search for that, I can connect it here. Now I want to choose a branch to deploy, and that's going to be master. So what we're going to do is enable automatic deploys. So that way, every time I run, so now every time I push a branch to master, this is automatically going to run, which is super nice. However, you want to make sure that you have some type of unit testing or testing if you're sharing this with other people. Because if you push a change and it breaks the bot, then your deployment's going to go out and it's going to break it for everyone. So you want to make sure that you have a really robust testing framework set up. And then we want to say deploy a GitHub branch, and we just want to say master. So as you can see, it says that our app was successfully deployed. So now if we go out here and go to activity, we can see that it just deployed, which is perfect. So now if I stop this, oh, I guess I've already stopped it on my local server. So now, as you can see, we've deployed it and it's running in the cloud, but we don't have any variables out here. So what we need to do is add our bot token, because just like the env file that we have locally, we also need to be able to use our token inside of this Heroku application. So what we want to do is go back. Grab our bot token, which is all of this, then copy this, and then hit paste. So now we have a config variable inside of here. And then you can also hide this so that way if you're screen sharing, then it doesn't, it's not revealed to anyone. So now we have our bot token out in the cloud. So what we need to do is go back to deploy, and then we need to deploy that branch again, because that way it refreshes and then it's going to grab our bot token, which is exactly what we need in order to be connected. So now if I navigate back to my Discord app, you can see that it's already online. So what I'm going to do here is edit this, and then I'm actually just going to copy it, and then I'm going to hit paste. And as you can see, the Discord bot immediately joins, and it's playing my video. So now we started with building a Node.js application. We added all of our bot code, interacting with the discord.js library, and then we deployed it all the way to Heroku. So with this entire tutorial, now we have something deployed in the cloud and this can run on any server. So you could add this bot to any server that you use, like with your friends or stuff like that. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial about how we came all the way from just starting a Node.js application to deploying it on Heroku and having your Discord music bot run in the cloud. If you liked this video, then make sure to leave a like, and then also, if you feel so inclined, what is, if you feel so inclined? What is that? What is that? No. If you liked this video, then go ahead and leave it a like, and then if you want to see more content like this with JavaScript related tutorials and or other software engineering topics, then go ahead and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial.